Good evening. Hello, yes. Hello, welcome, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight on the premiere of Code Switch, a solo performance by Josh Slack. Before we get started, I have a little bit of a few words for you about today's event. So I want to start by introducing myself. I'm Gina Sandy Diaz, and I am a part of the Artivism team, which is a fellowship that was born 2 years ago to empower youth of color in the Central Valley through artistic expression and civic engagement. So Josh is one of our fellows, and today we're really happy and honored to present to you the work that he has been doing throughout this fellowship. But before you hear from Josh, I want to talk a little bit about what Artivism is and the work that he has been doing here in Fresno and neighboring communities. So as I mentioned, this program was born 2 years ago. It is run by the Pan Valley Institute, which is an organization here in Fresno that works with immigrant communities and refugees. And so the Artivism Fellowship is specifically catered to youth, specifically youth of color. As I mentioned, we started in 2020, which means that that first year we were hit by the pandemic right at the beginning of our process. Originally, we had planned that each fellow was going to work with their community and gather a group of people to create a sense of community and an artistic project with them that tackled civic engagement themes. But that did not happen because everything got shut down and we were sent home. So we had to adapt. Each fellow found ways to engage their communities and create their work. And so that first year, we had 4 fellows, Ariana Cruz, Mercedes Pineda, Maria Torres, and Cecilia Moreno. And the 4 of them decided to work together. They focused on bringing light and showcasing the work and the history of the indigenous communities that called the Central Valley their home, specifically the Yokuts. And to do that, they contact community leaders. They took some basket weaving workshops with them. They had conversations with them. They also organized a panel with leaders from the Central Valley to have conversations about, topics that are important to youth of color here in our city. And they organized a series of guest speaker events and also recorded a video that summarizes their experience in the fellowship working with the Yokuts. If you are interested in catching this video, it's called More Than a Breadbasket, and you can find it in Pan Valley Institute's YouTube channel, along with all of the guest speakers that we hosted last year, which included Agustin Lira, Patricia Wells, and a series of other activists and artists from our area. So that was last year, and then this year, well, actually we started this cohort that Josh is a part of, started last year, in June of last year. It has also been a very challenging process. The toll of the pandemic, mentally, economically, and physically are palpable. And we were also not able to conduct the program in its original form, which is to actually reach out to communities and gather people. But we're really proud of our 4 fellows because they managed to continue their work and to engage their communities in very creative ways. So just a few weeks ago, one of our fellows, Hannah Luna Hers, unveiled her mural, Wings of Change, at Stone Soup Fresno, which is another organization that also works with communities, immigrant communities here in Fresno, particularly Southeast communities, Southeast Asian communities, I'm sorry. Hannah created a mural it's inspired by the cultural traditions of the Hmong community and other Southeast Asian communities. And so she looked at the patterns in their clothing and the colors and the textures and used that as an inspiration to create her mural, Wings of Change. So if you happen to be around Stone Soup Fresno, which is located near Fresno State, please take a look. It's a beautiful work of art. Then we have another 2 fellows, Michael Pina and also Paulina Rodriguez, who have been working on a project called Queer in the Valley. And what they have done is created a space, a safe space for LGBTQ plus youth of color in the Central Valley to highlight the art and the creative and activist work that artists that identify as BIPOC and also as LGBTQ plus here do. Hopefully we will be having an Instagram page to highlight the work of this artist in upcoming months. And then our fourth fellow, Joshua Slack, is here tonight premiering his solo show, Code Switch. So Josh has been working on the term code switch and what it means to him and his community, particularly the Black community. And code switch is referred to the need to have to adapt yourself to predominantly white spaces in order to protect yourself from discrimination and other forms of aggression. So that's the show that you will enjoy today. We're really, really happy to have you all here tonight. I also want to thank the entire Pan Valley Institute team, the whole Artivism team, for the hard work that we have concluded this year. So Mirna Martinez, director of Pan Valley Institute, Minerva Mendoza, Estela Galvan, and Miguel Gastelum, thank you so much for all of your help throughout this process. Today we celebrate. Thank you to our volunteers. We have Fresno State volunteers here and also some other volunteers that are very happy to help us out tonight. And now, without further ado, I want to invite our guest speaker of the night, which is also my colleague, my Fresno State colleague, Professor Thomas Witt Ellis, who is here tonight. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about African American theater and about art in particularly before we move on to enjoying Josh's show. Thank you for being here tonight and enjoy the show.
So, my job today is twofold. Number one, I need to warm up the audience a little bit for Josh's presentation. That's part of what I'm going to do. And secondly, I'm going to talk a little bit about African American theater, which Josh is doing an excerpt from. Rather than to bore you about what exactly is Black theater, and I know that's a big question, but kind of sort of the difference between African American theater and theater is kind of like the difference between the Black church and, let's just say, maybe like a Lutheran church. With the Black Baptist church or the Black Pentecostal church, if you've ever, how many of you have ever been to a Black church? Raise your hands. Get those hands up high. That's right, I have some Black church people. I got some Black church folk out here. I'm going to need your help because we're going to do a little call and response, so don't be shy. All right, good. You're getting an A so far. If you go to a Lutheran church, you know, there's a minister, and that person is kind of speaking, and the congregation is very quiet and reserved and listening and taking in all of the inspiration and the spirituality, which is all cool. In the Black church, the congregation expresses itself. That tradition comes from Africa, where the griot or the tribal leader would come out and make announcements, and the congregation or the people would make comments back, not necessarily heckling, but words of affirmation. Check it out. We haven't rehearsed this. Watch this. God is good. All the time. All the time. God is good. Did we rehearse this? That's an example of call and response. They just knew what to do. That's the only way I can put it. So we are going to take an excursion into Black theater by way of the Black church. So partially to help introduce Josh's piece and to kind of get you worked up a little bit, I'm going to do a demonstration. I'm going to do an excerpt from a solo show Josh is going to present an excerpt from his solo show, and both of these are examples of black theater. Mine is going to involve call and response. And the way that's going to work, and one of the differences, again, with black theater and traditional theater is that in black African-American theater, the audience is as involved as the actors. There's no real difference. So if you've ever seen a black sitcom like maybe Fresh Prince or something like that, sometimes in front of a live audience, sometimes you'll actually hear audience members, besides laughing, sometimes you'll hear them go, uh-oh, or girl, don't do that. You'll hear it. You just have to pay attention. They don't cut it out, it's there. And that's an example of the expression, because we are not just spectators, we are participants. So, in order to make this work, I'm going to say a phrase. The phrase is, the new cat, the new cat. And you, the audience, you're going to say it back to me. So let's just practice. 1, 2, 3. The new cat. The new cat. The new cat. The new cat. I know you have masks on, but don't forget that consonant. The new cat. Let's try that, because that's real black. The new cat. The new cat. The new cat. Ooh, really cool. So when you hear that phrase, repeat it back to me. Now, you're going to get caught up in what I'm going to be doing, so don't forget. Don't forget, because you're going to be, it does happen when you forget, because you're going to be so enthralled about what I'm doing, you'll forget. But don't forget, because it's really necessary, because you are part of the performance. Okay. So this is a piece from a play written by a mentor of mine who was from Seattle, Washington, and he's talking about his childhood. And I picked this because in part of Josh's presentation, one of his presentations is about his childhood. This narrative takes place in 1949, which is kind of different than 2022. So there are going to be some different words and phrases that you might not be that familiar with unless you watch old movies. Okay, so I remember the winter of 1949. I remember moving cross town into a new neighborhood and into a new school. I remember being the new cat. The new cat. The new cat. A constant cause of curiosity and inquiry. The new cat. Who attracted a multitude of stares and tongues, and the new cat. And, being the new cat, I was also the new colored boy. There's a lot of terms they used in elementary school in Seattle, Washington, for black kids. Colored, Negro, coon, jigaboo, and a couple of others. But I was the new cat. The new cat. I remember being approached by 3 different little dudes by the morning recess. 3 different little tough, cool, bad dudes. 3 different little tough, cool, bad dudes who walked the walk of coolness. 3 little tough, cool, bad dudes who talked out the side of their mouths the talk of coolness. One of them stammered. Hey, man. Hey, I don't think I like you, man. I responded. John Wayne, cool. Humphrey Bogart, cool. White private detective, cool. There's a lot of things I don't like. Fat back, watermelon, and stupid looking colored boys that stammer all the time. There were some girls playing hopscotch about 10 feet away. When they heard that, and stupid little colored boys that stammer all the time. The little girls like that. This pissed him off. Hey, man, I know I don't like you, man. Cool again. Don't you like it? Don't you take it? Here's my collar. Come and shake it. Shake it rough, shake it tough, shake it till you get enough. The girls. He got agitated. He was mad, he was nervous, he was ashamed of himself because he couldn't burn on me. I don't like it. I won't take it. Here's my fist. I'm going to make it upside your eye until you die, until you cry, till you're just about to die. He looked over at the girls. Silence. My name is Shad, and I'm bad. I eats hash. I talks trash, and I will kick your stammering ash. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was in order to warm you all up for Josh. He's going to give you some more examples of African American theater. Do we need this mic back up on the stage? Josh, leave it down? Leave it down? Doesn't matter? Doesn't, I think it should stay down if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Josh, do you want the chair? Yes, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my former students, Josh Slack, I forgot to mention that he's been on, I think, I used him in about 4 or 5 shows. The first show he ever did at Fresno State was my show, First Breeze of Summer. And the most recent play that he did was the lead in Carmen Jones. He's a gifted actor, and give him all of your support. Give him that. Come on, y'all can do better than that. There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure anymore just how it happened before. The places that I knew were sunny and blue. I can feel it deep inside, this black nigger's pride. I have no fear when I say, and I said every day, every nigger is a star. Every nigger is a star. Who will deny that you and I and every nigger is a star? I have walked the streets alone. 20 years I've been on my own, to be hated and despised. No one to sympathize. But there's one great thing I know. You can say I told you so. We've got a bright place in the sun where there's love for everyone, and every nigger is a star. Every nigger is a star. Who will remind that you and I and every nigger is a star? Bright, shining every star. Every nigger is a star. Bright, shining star. Every nigger is a star. Bright, shining star. Every nigger is a star. Every nigger is a star. We've got a bright place in the sun where there's love for everyone, and every Every nigga is a star. Every nigga is a star. Who will deny that you and I and every nigga is a star? Bright, shining every nigga's a star. Bright, shining star. Yes, every nigga is a star. Bright, shining every nigga's a star. Bright, shining star. Yes, every nigga is a star. Bright, shining every nigga's a star.
Good morning, Joshua. It's time to get up. That's right, it's time to get up and put your best foot forward for this entire audience. You got a lot of people watching, so just remember that you have to give them the nice voice. You make sure that you articulate yourself very well today. Make sure that you are understood as much as possible. And while we're at it, go ahead and throw on that nice suit. Put on that nice suit and tie and make sure that people know that you are a man to be respected and a man to be reckoned with. That's right. None of that do-rag business. I'm just kidding. Or am I? But seriously, put on your suit, put on your tie, and let's get out and show them something special today. You don't want to wear your tie. Okay, something different. All right, something more relaxed. Oh, okay, I understand that. But just remember that today is the day that you are going in front of quite a few people, important people that are really excited to see you go and talk and perform in front of them. So make sure you're articulate and make sure that you're not being your black self. Don't make them uncomfortable, okay? Remember, code switching is your friend. All right, have a good time. I'm proud of you. So proud. We have come a long, long way. All right, so disclaimer, I have no idea who that guy is, who is speaking about any of that. And I also apologize for making a fool out of myself in front of you people. I didn't see everybody here. Well, I mean, I'm all right, I'm getting a little bit nervous. Hi, my name is Joshua Slack, and this is Code Switch. And this is an exploration about how it is navigating through the white dominant space. I mean, something that a lot of people of color, we all are pretty familiar with. We all have to put our best foot forward, have to talk right, have to act right, all this stuff. Well, that's pretty much what we're doing today. Where are my manners? Let me give you a brief introduction to myself. So, I was born on August 2nd, 1995 in Bethesda, Maryland to two amazing parents. Moved on up to Cape May, New Jersey, had a little sister, and then moved on down to Portsmouth, Virginia. And all right, if you know me, I love Virginia. I love that place. I love it so much. Like, that was my childhood. Everything was just so green. Weather is so nice, people so nice, food is so good, and just, at that time, I had nothing to worry about. I had no bills. I had no anxieties. I had no depressions. I had none of these things because I was just living my young, 4 to 9-year-old self. I was just having the greatest 5 years of my life. Like, does anybody else have like those moments of their life? Like, it might not be your childhood, it might be your teenage years, it might be your adulthood. Just that pocket of time that you just look back and you're like, man, that was good. Like, just the best childhood. My parents really made sure that I had something special to just look back on and cherish for the rest of my life. Just whether it be my mom taking us on trips, whether it be that I just stayed in the house playing video games with my best friends, whether it be that I just played with my toys, got all the Power Rangers that I wanted, got all the toys that I wanted, just had so much fun all up until I turned 10 years old. So, August 2nd,
2005. Now, when you hear that when you're on the East Coast, right? When you're a little kid growing up on the East Coast and you hear that you're moving over to California, you're thinking about some pretty dope things, right? You're thinking about, gonna move over to Hollywood, gonna go down to San Diego, gonna go all these extravagant places, and lo and behold, I appeared in the most extravagant place of all time. Not Fresno. Like, I'll say I lived in Fresno, but I really was 45 minutes outside of Fresno, Lemoore, California. And every time I say it, people, even in Fresno, are like, where? What? Lemoore? That little street that you pass down, that's where I ended up at. That's where me and my family ended up at. I have been out there since I was 10 years old. And, all right, let me tell you something. So, Lemoore is kind of different. That area is there's a different kind of vibe once we moved out there that was extremely present and pressing on my life. And it was almost as if there was an outside force telling me that I did not belong. Almost as if that there's an outside force that was pushing me and hating me and judging me and saying all these things about me at 10 years old. Now, could it have been because I moved from one community that had so many people that looked like me, so many people that acted like me, so many people that supported me, and then I get stripped away from that to a community where I'm the only representative of my own people in the classroom, and with that burden, I have to carry the weight of so many expectations of what the black friend is? Possibly. That might have been it. That could have been it. Or, could it have been, the rite of passage that every black boy goes through whenever they encounter some law enforcement, and then the police officer looks at you and says, you know what, you're the suspect, you're somebody that looks like they can be in some trouble, so you're either going to leave or you're going to be arrested. And then you have to question yourself and say, what did I do wrong? What was it that I did? All I did is just standing here, being me, being black, and, just getting thrown out. Okay, that's what it is. Was that it? Or, no, I honestly don't think that was it either. Maybe it was a time when I was 10 years old, and I was shopping with my mother in a Target. Shopping with my mother on another day that seems like any other ordinary day, our favorite store to go to. And I had a hoodie on. This hoodie to keep my ears warm, to keep me protected from the rain going out outside. Something that I was comforted, and have that snatched away by my own mother. And I look at her and say, what are you doing? To which she has to explain to me that I was being followed by an officer throughout my entire trip in that store, in the toy section. And that she told me right then and there that the way I was dressed, I looked like a thug to them at 10 years old. That I looked like just another black little whatever to them. At 10 years old, that I was nothing more than just another nigga in their eyes at 10 years old. And I had never in my life had to experience something like that until that moment at 10 years old. You see, I come from a long line of ancestors that are survivalists, people that just made a way for me to be here today. So I have that act of survival in my DNA. And you know what? It shows up throughout my life. It shows up the day I was born, I stopped breathing, but I survived. It showed up when I was little and I almost fell into some oncoming traffic, but I survived. So many near-death experiences I had, but I survived because of the internal DNA that was passed down through me. I had survived, but yet the survival instinct that they had did not kick in until that moment in that Target. That survival instinct was awoken in me from that point on for the rest of my life. And that survival instinct was code switching. Title drop, code switch. you know? See, there we go, you know. All right, gotta make you laugh. I mean, we're talking about some heavy stuff here, all right, and I know what you're thinking. All right, for those who already know me, they know I talk about stuff like this a lot. They're like, Josh, come on, man. You're talking about that black stuff again. You're talking about race again. You're talking about all this justice and social justice stuff again. Why don't you talk about the stuff that, you know, that we like you for, like your photography or like your anime or like all the other stuff that you're interested in, just not that aspect of you. Just put that away. And to which I say, the journey that I have been on, the survival instincts in my DNA, and this script will not allow me to stay off course and not bring up something that has led me here today. So, with that being said, Code Switch, Part 1. It is a cold night in 2005 with my mom, you know, like I said before. We over here just in this Target, got my hoodie on, you know, and it's February, so the newest Red Power Ranger is out. And I love me some Power Rangers. And so I'm over here looking at these Power Rangers. Mom, it's that one right there. I saw it in the magazine. It's that red Power Ranger right there, Mom. I want it. Can I please have it? I'm gonna grab it right now. Okay, I'm gonna get it. What was that for? Mom, hey, Mom, what? Hey. Joshua, do you not know what was happening behind you? Behind me? Mom, there's a Power Ranger right up there that I need. I don't know what I'm not looking at behind me. The red Power Ranger is right there, Mom. Joshua, I need you to realize something. You were being followed by an officer. Followed by Mom, look, I don't, an officer, Mom, I just want this Power Ranger. I don't have to even think about the officer. And why would an officer follow, you know, just me? I just want to, you know, get this Power Ranger. Joshua, you are not understanding what's happening right now. You were being followed by an officer because they thought that you were a thug. A thug, Mom, I'm not a bad guy. That's why I want the Power Rangers. They're the good guys. That's what I'm like right there. That's why I'm like, I'm a good guy. Why would a police officer follow me? I'm not a bad guy. Joshua, sweetie, I know you don't understand, but it doesn't matter what you think and what you know about yourself. But when you dress like that and when you walk like that, to them, you're possibly a bad guy. Why? Why am I a bad guy? Why is it that I have to be just the bad guy in this, Mom? I'm just a kid. I can't be a bad guy. I can't. Can I at least get my toy? Joshua, no. We're leaving right now. Mom, why is it that I gotta go? I just want the toy. Why do we have to leave today? Mom, where are we going? Why are we leaving? Joshua, I need you to understand, for the rest of your life, this is something that you're going to have to experience. And you can no longer wear your hoodie indoors. You can no longer dress like that in these stores because they will follow you. But Mom, I'm comfortable. It was cold outside. It was raining outside. Why can't I wear this? I like this hoodie. It makes me comfortable. Why is this happening to me today? Mom, I'm not understanding. I'm not following through. Why am I the bad guy? Why am I the bad guy? Why is it because I'm wearing a hoodie? People are wearing hoodies all in the store. Mom, what's going on? Joshua, the reason why, son, is because you're black. And, you know, long story short, I didn't take that pretty well, and long story short, that radicalized me, and that's why I'm here today. But, you know, in those moments, I realized something. I realized that from now on, for the rest of my life, at 10 years old, that whatever innocence I had whenever innocence I had in my childhood, it was taken away from me. You see, when I talk about this rite of passage that black boys go through, that black people go through, and many other people of color just go through, this rite of passage is when you are now informed of where you stand in society, where you stand in these white spaces, and how your life becomes a marathon of navigation through these white spaces. How it becomes that you have to walk the walk and talk the talk and talk the King's English in order to navigate through these white spaces. And you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, it's not really so much of a bad thing because, code switching, all right, I'm kind of being a little bit negative. I don't want to be, make it sound like I'm being too hard on y'all that code switch or, like anybody else that really has to do this because truth be told, it's sort of like a superpower, you're kind of in disguise. You're kind of like, you kind of get to walk like this and act like this and talk like this. And nobody really has to know who you are on the inside. You get to transform on a day-to-day basis. You get to Clark Kent this stuff, You get to be on the phone and say, yes, I would like to have an interview with Bank of America, yes. Hi, yeah, my name is Joshua Slack. How are you today? Yes, oh, of course, yeah. Oh, yeah, I am well qualified. Of course, yeah. Oh, hired on the spot. Okay, great. Oh, are you sure about that? Okay, all right. Come on. This stuff is amazing. I mean, look, you get the job interviews, you get the status, you get the recognition of being able to just be articulate. I mean, how many times have you code switched and people just say, you are so articulate? That's the first thing they say to you. You are so articulate, you hold yourself up so well, and all you can just say is, why, thank you, and go on about your day. Okay, but all right, there's a little bit of some drawbacks that go on with that. I mean, you kind of are sacrificing that part of yourself that is really the true part of yourself, I mean, who really wants that? Like they go ahead and say, that's not good enough, so you just got to throw it away for a little bit. But you can be white for a day. You can be white for a moment. You can have that status. You can survive as long as you throw away that part of yourself. You can navigate through these spaces as long as you just push down whatever part of yourself is in there. You see, that voice that happened a few minutes ago, that voice didn't come until that moment in that target. That voice never came into my head until I was aware that the way I was born, the way I dressed, the way I walked was threatening to somebody else. That voice didn't show up until that day in that target. That voice pops up every time I see a lady clutch her purse when I walk in there. That voice pops up every time I walk by somebody's car, they lock the door. That voice pops up every time when they hear my name coming in for a job interview and they say, oh. That voice continues to pop up and pop up, to the point where I can no longer even take it anymore. So code switching part 2. So we fast forward a little bit from, when I was 10 years old, I was in the target. I've moved past this part, all right? So I moved past all this, this little childhood kind of traumatic event. It's fine and dandy, I'm in high school now, a little nerdy, a little, not really sure about myself. I just got a growth spurt, so I don't know how to use these legs really well. So, and let's just say there's a football game, okay? First football game in the high school, and I didn't play football. I mean, look at me. I didn't play football at all. But there to support my friends, there to go ahead and watch all my friends who played football, and I can't really sit there and watch any longer because I really got to go to the bathroom. I really got to go. And it is, okay, all right. This is a very long line, and is there a problem, officer? Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to get out of here. Um, I'm sorry, I have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, well, look here, we don't like loiterers here, so you're gonna have to leave the game or you're gonna be under arrest. Are, um, okay, are you serious right now? This cannot be any a worse time, officer. I mean, seriously, I'm here with my friend. He's right over there. I can go get him, and I wasn't doing anything. Yeah, well, we saw you. We saw you going over here and jumping around, and we don't like that here at these football games. So you're gonna have to leave right now, or else you're gonna be in the back of the car with me, and I'm gonna put you in handcuffs and take you down to the station. I'm sorry. Can I at least go to the bathroom first? Can I at least just go? I'm not understanding what's happening, sir. All right. Do I have to make it any more clearer? You are going to come with me, and you're going to get out of this here football game, or else you're going to jail. Jail? But I gotta pee. I can't. What in the world? The officer, this really isn't making any kind of sense. Hey, ow, 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 ow. Yeah, you're coming with me. You're coming with me. All right. Now stay out. And if you come back in, you're going right in that car. And, fast forward a few minutes later, my friend and his dad come up and talk to the officer. Officer says that I'm no longer allowed to go into the football game. Whole dilemma. I didn't even get to experience the second half of the first football game of my high school experience. I started off this entire experience of being a teenager, being all like, this is my chance to finally make some friends in the city of Lemoore, finally make a name for myself. And the first thing that happens to me is I am threatened to go to jail simply by waiting in the bathroom. Waiting for the bathroom, not in there. And you see, it's moments like those which made me realize that I can no longer just code switch the way I walk, because that's not going to get me anywhere. I can't just code switch the way I talk, because that's not going to get me anywhere. Because I cannot code switch my skin, I cannot code switch my culture, I cannot code switch my hair, I cannot do anything that could prevent me from being a target by this society in which I have to navigate in and survive. Simply standing is enough to be a threat in their eyes. Simply standing is enough to be a threat. So here we are in code switching part 3. Now, throughout this experience of just navigating through life, this marathon of speaking a colonizer's language through the art of code switching, of this marathon of navigating through these spaces in this safari of being hit with police brutality, being hit with institutionalized racism, being hit with expectations that I should be doing something, that I should be playing something, I should be doing all of this, being hit with society's pressures all crumbling around me. Throughout all this, I then ask the question, do I even control my identity? Do I even control my outcome? Do I even get a chance to control my life, my blackness, my skin, my culture? Am I always going to be perceived by a magnifying glass of the white society's lens that is peering over me? Am I in control, or do they control my identity? I ask this question every day. And if they control my identity, then who am I? What am I? Am I just another black to them, or is the navigating through the space not enough? Am I human to them, or is the way I walk and talk just not enough? Am I even enough? And so this experience, these moments even come into the present day, and they haunt me even more. Just about almost 3 weeks ago, the greatest moment of my life happened. And my wife and I were able to welcome in my baby girl. For 1 hour, she was fine. The next thing I know, she stopped breathing. They snatch her away from us. They put her down and resuscitate and resuscitate and resuscitate. And she comes alive. She's fine. She's breathing. However, in that moment, I cannot get angry. In that moment, I cannot be furious. I cannot be upset. I cannot show any other emotion other than gratefulness, even though the rage that filled within me of snatching my child away from me, of snatching my child away from my wife. For 1 hour did we get to know her. And she's heading up to the NICU unit, tested on, making sure that she doesn't have these certain things that she never had in the first place for days. And in those 3 days, I could not be angry. I could not yell. I could not cry. I could not be human because I was in fear of being an angry black man, of being a crazy, angry black man because of years and years of being pressed down by society. I could not express this emotion and rage that I was feeling in those moments. Because if I did, my daughter would probably not have a father. Because if I did, for all I know, that rage that was built up, all this code switching, all of this navigation, all of this pressure that was built up, that rage that was inside of me was enough for me to kill a person. That rage was enough for me to kill a man. Because it was killing me on the inside. I looked at her as she was under the blue light with her blindfold on, 3 days old, and the rage that was inside of me was eating me alive. I couldn't code switch any longer. I can't live my life like this. I can't have this navigation go on any further because who's next? Her? Is she going to have to live this life of being looked at? She's already been born of black birth. How come she has to navigate through this black life under a white society's lens? Why is that something that she has to deal with as well? Why can't this cycle just end? Will she be able to control her identity? Will I ever be able to control my identity? Will I ever get that voice out of my head that tells me to speak up, to be proper, to walk straight, to talk the king's speech, to say hi to your homies? I mean, your pals. Your friends. Speak well to them. Speak well to everybody. Don't let it be shown that you have this rage of blackness inside. Don't let it be shown that you are upset with us because we will kill you or you will kill yourself. How much longer? How much longer do I have to do this? And that's what this suit is for. Because today is a day of mourning. Today is the day which I kill that part of me that is ashamed of who it is that I am. Today is the day that I kill that part of me that society has said that I should no longer be. Today is that day in which I kill that part of me that always has to stand up and talk and act and walk straight in order to survive. Today is the day in which I kill that part of me that is angry, that is fearful, that has all of these mixed emotions that is enough to kill somebody or myself. Today is the day that I reclaim what is mine. Today is the day in which I take back my identity. Thank you.
I'm not sure anymore just how it happened before. The places that I knew were sunny and blue. I can feel it deep inside.
I'm not sure how much time we have left, but this is a part in which I get to kind of talk and explain really the whole entire process of really just being a part of the Penn Valley Institute when it comes down to just being a part of the Artivism Fellowship, and really what led me to this point, because like Gina was explaining earlier, we had quite a bit of setbacks, quite a bit of obstacles that we had to do. So first it was a gallery, first it was a presentation show, first it was all these different things that I was trying to go ahead and put on. And with the rise of COVID and stuff like that, I was kind of forced to make it into something a lot more personal. And I realized that, there was something that I was feeling throughout this entire journey of really wanting to do something, but feeling as if that I couldn't articulate the way I wanted to talk. And I realized, how about I talk about some code switching? How about I just get up here and start, doing some stuff. So that's how we got here. And I really, all those stories are true. They're all based on true stories, and they're all based on pretty much my inner thoughts and stuff. But I do want to just thank everybody for coming. I really want to just say thank you to the Penn Valley Institute. Thomas? Oh, we do? Okay, cool. Yeah, but I'm just thankful for Thomas also for helping me and directing me and kind of guiding this entire little project. This is something that is kind of being workshopped on as far as this presentation into more of a bigger project and more of a bigger show and spectacle. So be on the lookout for when this is finalized, bigger, longer, and uncut. So, all that stuff. But we do have a Q&A. And so, any questions? Not all at once. No?
When did you start writing? When did you start meeting and creating?
So I kind of, it's hard to answer because some of this is like mixed in like journal thoughts, and had been going over the course of, I would say since 2019, just little excerpts that I had of like just thoughts and things that was going on. Some of my tweets actually, I just kind of like, I looked on my Twitter, I'm like, okay, let me delete these so nobody can see I plagiarized myself. But so just like kind of over the course of over a few years, and then I really started to get into the writing process heavy 2 weeks ago. So I wasn't able to really, because I went through so many drafts. I went through not really knowing exactly. I'm like, okay, is this going to be a one-person show? Is this going to be a few people? Is this going to be different things? Not really knowing exactly the direction I was going for. So it was kind of improv, kind of like ebbs and flows of the creative process, and then also trying to figure out like what I would incorporate, because I wanted to incorporate photography, I wanted to incorporate this, but I kind of just stripped it down more into a focused thing. So, yeah. Thanks. Mm-hmm. So really a solo performance, I wasn't necessarily knowing, actually Thomas kind of suggested that I could do a solo performance because he was just bragging about me one day and just said, he's more than capable of doing it. But it was also, I did think about different people and like wanting to go ahead and add in others. But to be honest, the reason I decided to make it just a solo performance was I wasn't sure about how to write and make it sound like other people. And I realized that it was so much of my voice that was being said, my own thoughts, my own experience, that I wasn't really able to separate myself into any kind of segment of whatever it was I was writing. So I just took it upon myself to say, you know, this is going to be something that I tell. And if I need to have other characters, I'll just go ahead and play them myself. Now, as it gets bigger, and the scope gets bigger, and might possibly be multiple, like more people within it, it really just depends on kind of like where I'm led to throughout the whole creative process thing. So, yeah. It's,
I feel like a few points. For me, as a Black person, the moment that you walk through discovering that who you were, like really resonates with me. And on top of that, just how you build into the moment that you had with your daughter, and I guess just a full cycle that could become. How difficult or challenging or fun to what did it feel like to have emotion a short amount? You just talked about some of that.
It was sort of cathartic in a sense and surreal, because I wasn't expecting, when I got down to talking about my daughter, exactly the rate, like everything that was festering up. I wasn't expecting that kind of emotion or just things to rise out, but it was therapeutic, surreal, and kind of scary at the same time. There was a lot of things happening because it was, you know, I'm unlocking some things that were going on in my past, some things that had transpired, so it's very sensitive, and so it felt like each wall was kind of being broke down kind of thing. And so it just felt very, I'd say not scary in the sense like, oh, I'm afraid, but scary like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, I don't know where I'm being led to. I don't know how this is gonna explode out. So yeah, that's how it felt. Any other questions? Anything else? Please take.
Like a set script or kind of just bullet points of what you're gonna
Both.
accomplish?
I had a set script, but Thomas was very, well, as we were going over it, he was very, like, he trusted me enough to just know that I can go off of just like little cue points. And I could really just, to really not be restricted to memorizing. Because I have a tendency that when I memorize that, it looks like I'm memorized. It looks like I'm rehearsed, which is a note that I've had since I've been acting. So I have a tendency in every production to just go off script and to just kind of know what the script is saying. So it was more so just bullet points and knowing where I was going with it. Though there were some times that it was like, of course, like one wasn't like right after the other the way it was, but as far as the process goes, that's kind of also how my mind works. As far as like memorization is very, not that it's hard for me, but it's very like, oh, I have to memorize, so I have to be confined to the words. So that's kind of, yeah, what happened. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
I'm very curious about your perspective about how art and specifically theater and this kind of art can help propel change in the future.
Like how it can change in the future. It's I honestly just say more spaces and more opportunities for things like this to kind of happen, and more platforms, because the thing about art is specifically theater, which is something that like you and I have talked about, but just every theater, every person of color within theater, that is a very white dominated platform. Like regardless of how much progress seems to be getting made, there's still so much more to go. There's still so much more to like just not even catch up to, but just kind of break in. And the more and more platforms that we have, the more and more opportunities that we have, that's where I start to see the change. But also just like, because with those platforms, you start to invite people that are able to see a whole different perspective. And some people that probably didn't think that they'd write, somebody that didn't think that they want to act, or didn't think that theater could even be this way. A lot of people think that theater is just oh, I'm gonna dress up and I'm gonna just go ahead and do Wizard of Oz, or just kind of something. So really, you're able, like the more platforms we have, the more we're able to change the perspective of what theater and what art really is. Because I think that the definitions that we do have are so limited and so just very limited of what exactly theater and what exactly art, what exactly activism really is, because they all really blend in together, especially just as far as art and theater being platforms used for, like, just for learning, you can just learn from it. So I think, I honestly hope to just see more and more people just have the courage, I would say. I hope that I'm able to instill that to people too. So yeah. Justin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, yeah, definitely. There was quite a lot. A big thing in Virginia, and specifically the neighborhood that we lived in, a lot of my friends, we were all went to the same school, and we all were. It was a mixed community, but there's more black people in the neighborhood that you would see in kind of like a neighborhood that I live in now, where it's like, oh, there's that one black guy across the street. Like there's more familiarity with that. There's more of a culture and access to like places like Washington, D.C. is like right there, and that's like a big, heavily like, it's called Chocolate City. Like it's a heavily like a cultured area. You have access to so much culture and so many things within that area of just the East Coast in general. And Virginia also is kind of like part of the South-ish, I guess, if you go by like historical context. So like you have like even like the Southern like cultures that are all there. So there's kind of this sense of community that was very visible, extremely visible out there. And also just extremely like, as far as this is a weird thing, but the weather as well. Like the weather out there was like, you got all 4 seasons, so you had a lot more things to do, and just like a lot more people were out. But out here, once we got here, it was just like, we were experiencing racism and the heat. So it was like, we just had so many things happening all at once. It's like, and like there were so many different factors. But in Lemoore, primarily, because I didn't really experience much of still don't really experience much of a black community out in that area, except primarily the church I go to, which is probably the most congregated space of like black people or just people of color that you'll see out there. But it's very much so conservative, like very much so like there's Confederate flags being flown around out there. And that surprised me because I grew up thinking that, oh yeah, the South had the Confederate flags. And then I moved out to California, I'm like, but you all weren't there during, what's going on? Like just having that kind of culture shock of like, this is not a place this doesn't seem real. And then of course, the school I had ended up going to in Lemoore was a private Christian school. And there was a tuition to get in, so you had to pay. And I think that with having to pay to get in as well, not a lot of black families within that would be willing to pay just because of different job occupations that we would have and things like that. And so there was already that access as far as financially of being in that environment. Luckily, I was blessed to just be in a family that could provide that for us. But really, just you get to a space like that, and then you're one of 2 in there. And the way that school was set up is like that was the class I was in from 5th grade to 8th grade. I knew those kids from 5th grade to 8th grade, nobody else, and there's only 30 of us. So it's like the dynamics, all that. Yeah, it was just, so that transition, it was like, it wasn't just a transition as far as race was concerned, but just as far as like the way that this world was ran out here compared to just being in Virginia. So it was a whole different world flipped upside down thing. So yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns, observations?
I guess, what kept you going, like during these difficult situations that you were, like where was like the light for you?
this theater. I'm being 100% honest, and it wasn't apparent to me that's what was keeping me going, but during that time, I started to kind of like figure out what it was I wanted to be in life, and like that, like, you know, you kind of grow up like, oh, I want to be this when I grow up, but throughout that, I was learning more and more that I wanted to be an actor. And though I was experiencing all these different things, I had this set goal in my head of like, this is something I want to do. And it was almost like, even though I was going through that, I had a very, you can't tell me nothing kind of attitude at the same time. So it was like, even though I'm getting hit and bombarded, I still am going out for this. I'm still gonna go audition for these school plays, still gonna go ahead and do this. Even, like, I didn't even talk about this, but they were trying, like in my senior year, there was almost multiple instances when they tried to not have me graduate and tried to send me to a community college when I was already admitted to Fresno State for theater. So I was like, no, I'm gonna get there. So there's like, that was kind of just, theater really was my driving force that really helped me, like as far as like a practical thing that helped me out. Of course, God was really like what really kept me throughout all of that as well. So yeah. Anything else, Thomas? Or any last questions before? All right, hand it out to you.
Thank you again. Let's give it up for Josh one more time. Y'all can do better than that. Come on now. I would like to thank my, I guess you know who I am. I'd like to thank my drama students, Cynthia, Julia, Anthony. Anthony, you haven't been my student, but the other two have. And thank you for providing those black voices. You did very well. Just one little piece of announcement. In my African American theater class, I don't know if Josh took that class. All right. So one of the exercises that we do in that class, we have the students write scripts based on their first experience in being, first racist experience. If we had time and if this was some sort of encounter group, we would do that right now, because all of you have, every one of you, you have stories. You have the story about that first time you were denied, the first time you were called the N-word, the first time you were not waited on in the restaurant. We could do a play right now, just based on those stories. And we can develop more narratives based on those stories, and that's kind of sort of what Josh kind of developed. And we all have those stories, we really do. I'm going to turn this over to Pan Valley. We have some announcements, maybe? You're going to have what? Come on down. Food and beverage, food and drink to go. To go. And where is it? Oh, yes, please do. Because we paid for that, so please take it. Thank you so much for coming out. Please come out and say something to Josh or my students or myself. And thank you again. Safe travels.